lot of you are probably thinking, well, I can't draw, Levon. How am I supposed to do this here? I don't know how to draw. I don't know where to begin. I can make a stick figure, but I don't think my kid's going to like a stick figure. Hey guys, your boy Levon here with JP Arts and Crafts. I hope everybody's been creating lately. It's another hot day here in Florida and we're about to get our creating on. Alright guys, so what I have today for you is quite simply a very easy thing to do. It's wall art. I use wooden wall art. If you don't have the tools for this, for wood, to cut the wood, you can always use cardboard. Cardboard works out very well and holds up very nicely for in your kid's room, so you guys can use that. It's very easy. But now for the image, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I can't draw, Levon. How am I supposed to do this here? I don't know how to draw. I don't know where to begin. I can make a stick figure, but I don't think my kid's going to like a stick figure. Alright, so I found an easy way for this to work for you guys at home. We're going to use our printer and some paper, and we're going to get it out there, and then we're just going to cut that out and put it on the board, trace it out, okay? So be sure to follow along. We're going to use wood. You guys can use cardboard. Then all you need is scissors or a box knife or something. Be careful with a box knife, guys. Don't need you cutting yourself. And but for wood, you're going to need a jigsaw.
Okay guys, so alright, here we go. We got this paper here, we got them all set up. We have our design that we picked. If you're working with this design here, it is very easy to find online. Just go find your browser, and I'm going to show you how to talk about how we're going to cut this out here in a minute along here. But first off, this image is I went on to my browser, I clicked image, I typed in the Star Wars TIE fighter. This image, this piece here is actually for my son for his birthday. He loves TIE fighters. He loves all the spaceships from Star Wars and just spaceships in general. And I thought this big TIE fighter would be really cool for his room, for his wall, for his birthday. So that's what I went with. You don't have to go with this here. You can just kind of follow along with this on the basics, and then just use, you know, what you've seen here in the video to make your own image, guys. But for the TIE fighter, I just typed in Star Wars TIE fighter, and then I went through things like silhouette. I went through, you can also use things like a coloring page and black and white. You can put black and white and find some nice images that way. That way you don't have a lot of detail, because something like this here, and if you've never done it before, maybe start out with something with really low detail. Like this here is really just kind of, as you can see, it's really only going to be maybe like 2 colors, and then we can put some like lines in it here and there and just add a little detail to it, but keep it fairly simple. So as you've seen there, guys, I was just filling in the little spots that were blank. You can always fill in and draw in some other things for your image, and you can always take out some of the things for your image if you want. So anyways, guys, we have this. We're going to cut this out along this line all the way around the edge, and we're going to cut that out, and that's it. I would suggest taping it all together first before you cut it out. Just tape them together. Otherwise, you're trying to find which piece goes where, and on something like this, it can be like turned around. Oh, and here, I don't have the option on my printer to get it to print to the very edge, so it leaves this tiny little line here, this little space of white blank. So I actually just put it over the edge and try to line it up and then cut it. So here it is, guys. We have it all taped, all cut, and got the little windows cut out. And yeah, I'm pretty much 13 at heart, so don't mind me, sorry. So we have this cut out. I cut out the windows. Later on, you're actually probably going to be cutting out these dark sections, which I took a lot of the black out to save on ink. I did that in, I use Microsoft, so I actually did that in Microsoft Paint. But as you see there, where I overlaid it and then taped it together, that's what I was saying. You can always cut the little white lines off and then overlay it if that's something you want to do as well before you tape it. But it's really all up to you. As long as you get the image to this point, and then we get it to the board here, that's all that really matters. So you're going to see later what I mean by we're going to cut these little black sections out in the wings here, but right now just take your image, put it down on the board. Some people use like stick tack if you want to use that, the little spray tack. I don't really find you need that. Just kind of put some weights on it and just carefully go around. You can use a pencil. I like something like a permanent marker. If you're not real confident in in using the permanent marker, just use a pencil. Then that's fine. A nice wood pencil or something with just a good piece of a thick enough lead that you're going to be able to see your line when you start cutting it out is all you want there. I use a permanent marker. It's a wider a wider tip, and it's not really dark, so you can see where you're going when you're cutting this out. And I'm not the greatest at using my little jigsaw here, but so I make 1,000 cuts and I go every different direction, but the darker lines do help. So trace around all the little areas. I'm not going to trace around on the windows in there. You don't really need to do that because you're not cutting that out. Now if you wanted to make this and you wanted to cut out the windows because you wanted that to be the windows to be gone, and you want like holes there for the window, if that's an idea you want to go with, then yeah, cut out the window, trace around in there and then cut out the windows. But it's going to be really difficult with the saw I have, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to color in the windows, and I think it would just look a lot better that way. So we are just tracing around this, and it takes me a minute. You see I got a little bit of some air going here. A little breezy outside today, and I got a fan on the other side, and it's still hot, so it's like a hot breeze. It's horrible, but I'll just use your weights to make sure it doesn't move. You don't want it to slide around from one side to the other, and then your image is a little off. So make sure everything stays lined up as you're going. I don't have a great workspace for cutting wood. I should go out and buy some saw horses. I just use like 2 kind of large objects and then lay the board across it and go to town. Here I'm using a on the left here where my hand is, it's just a cart that's a rollable like microwave stand. It's like a stand. It's a cabinet, and you can put something on the top. So I just call it a microwave stand. And then on the other side, I've just got like it's kind of like a put together saw horse on the other side. So you don't have to have all the equipment to make this work, guys. Alright, so there we go. We have it traced out. That's it. Very simple. Not a lot of detail to it. We're just going to have that there. Then we're going to get it cut out. And we'll start cutting it here in a minute. We're going to cut that out with the saw I have over here. I'm going to put my paint up first. And then we'll move on to all the other steps you guys need to know. So here I'm just using a jigsaw. This is a Ryobi brand jigsaw. So they're not a sponsor or anything. Here we are, we got it cut out, and now I'm going to sand this down. You don't have to sand it if you don't want to, but because I cut just a little fast and my saw blade's a little old and everything, I tend to get these little barbs around the edges, which is probably something, there you go, you can really see them right there. This is probably something you really can't avoid completely. I know that there's a trick for put the tape down, use some painter's tape on your wood, or masking tape on your wood, and then put your image around the edge of that before you cut out or something like that. And I've seen that, I've done that once before, and it did help keep a lot of these burrs away, but I still had to sand it, so I don't bother wasting the tape. Now you can use a little sander like I got here, or you can hand sand it. Just take the piece of sandpaper in your hand and just go over the edges. It doesn't take long to get the little burrs off of there. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take the burrs off, and then I'll probably go over, since this isn't sanded plywood, and if you're doing this kind of project and and you want it to look really nice, probably go with sanded plywood. They kind of sand both sides nice and smooth. You see how this side, you can see kind of ripples in it. So that's what I did here. I sanded the one side I really want to do because it's smoother than the other side, and I sanded the other side down some just to kind of take off some of those little ripples I got there. Alright guys, so what we're doing is we're wanting to paint this section, and we want to coat it. If we spray painted this wood the way it is now, without this coating on it, it's going to kind of soak into the wood, and it's not going to be as vibrant. So what I use is a white acrylic paint. It's a wall paint. It's 100% acrylic. That's what you want it to have, 100% acrylic. It doesn't have to be hide white and any of that, but you definitely probably want it to be white, just making it kind of like your poster boards. It's a nice white canvas. So this one is more of a flat white than a gloss. You can always get a nice gloss one to spray paint on. They do have a high gloss of this kind of stuff here. This is the cheapest one, so it is a little bit of a matte type flat look, so it doesn't pop as much, but it's still going to make this brighter than the spray painting just on the wood itself. So that's because, you know, the acrylic's going to keep it from seeping, the spray paint from seeping into it. You're kind of making that little edge there. Another option for this as well, you can always go over this with something like a spray coating primer if you wanted. Just use like a spray primer if you want. But being that you can get this gallon jug here, if you're just doing one of these for just a project, then the spray primer is what I would go with. But if you do these kind of fairly often, then you're gonna want maybe just a gallon of this. It's really not that expensive. Now I chose to go with the other side instead of this side just because of the ripples. So we're going to paint the back side of this first, and it doesn't have to be as nicely painted as the front side we're going to paint on, just because we're not going to paint on this side, right? Makes sense. But get it everywhere, and this is just so you can skip the back if you really don't want if you're not going to paint on the back and you really don't care about making the back white like this, then go for it. I just think that putting this coating on the back as well, and just getting it all over the whole thing, just helps to make this barrier to kind of just prevent any moisture from getting into the wood or anything, and just keeping it from problems later on, and just making this last longer. Guys, that's what I always think about, just trying to get this to last as long as possible. So after I painted it, this is the top side, the better looking side, since this isn't sanded plywood. I did paint it with the paint, and then I went over it and sanded it real lightly with our sandpaper, just to make everything really even, because with the brush that I have, if I'm using that, as you've seen that brush I have, and it's a bit old, it leaves a bit lines here and there, and you get these little ripple lines, brush lines. So I did sand it really lightly, guys. Now we're going to go ahead and start painting this. Make sure you paint the edges here all the way around the side. Again, you just kind of, when it's hanging on the wall, you're going to see the side edges. So we don't paint the back because you're not going to see that. It's going to be against the wall. But the edgings, you're going to see them while they're hanging on the wall. It's just a personal preference. I would do it. I would suggest doing it. But again, if you don't want to take the time to do that, don't do that. Hopefully you have some cool idea in mind for a project like this for your kid's room, or for your room, or a gift for somebody. So it doesn't have to be this TIE fighter, but if so, this TIE fighter is a very fun and easy one to do, especially if you've never done one of these before and you do happen to know somebody, or you yourself like Star Wars. Give it a try just as a practice piece, guys. So right here I kind of shaded in a little black on the edge there, because when we're done with the wing, you're gonna see later how that kind of shadows over the middle section of the TIE fighter, and it's just gonna help add a little bit of like depth to it. And just, you don't have to do that. I just kind of did it. I think it's gonna look a little better in the end. My son's pretty young. He's not gonna notice the depthness in it, so I probably didn't have to do this. It's just something I do. So here we have our stencil put back on. As you've seen, I cut out the black sections. You don't have to do this. You can just lay it down over your piece, and then take a pin that doesn't work anymore or so, or you can take a pin that does work if it's up to you, but just use the ball point of it and go over the lines there, and it'll leave an indentation slightly in the paint, and then you can go from there on where you want to paint it. But if you cut this out here, it's a lot easier. In this step, just go over there and cut out the black sections, and then there they are. And then I would suggest putting on a bunch of these things here, just little nuts and bolts, everything just to hold it down. We do not want the spray to spray under our paper. This is just computer paper, so it does soak a little bit, but as long as we got it tacked down well enough, it shouldn't blow underneath it. It shouldn't go underneath it. And here I'm going to use black and a little bit of blue for those windows later on here. But as I was saying, if you tack this down well enough and you stay at a high enough height, by the way, this is deep blue and this is just black in Rust-Oleum if you're wanting to know what exact colors they were. So if we tack it down well enough, guys, and you stay painting at a high enough surface, it's not going to pool underneath it. You want light sprays and build it up. You want to build it up. 1 layer, 2, 3, just build it up. If you lay it on really heavy, really thick, and it's going to pool underneath, you're not going to like the end results. And that's a tip that I try to get all over to my students in the little classes that I do about when they're doing their planets. They tend to start out by pulling it up around your planet stencils and stuff, and the planets come out looking duller to them and everything, and that's the edges aren't as crisp. You're putting too much paint. Do it lightly and do it in layers and just build it up, and you're gonna like the way it comes out. So remember that on any other painting you guys do with your spray paint. Just take your time, do it lightly, and build it up. Especially right here in the middle, if you're doing this TIE fighter with a window, you have all these really thin strips of paper. Just do it lightly. And this black I'm using is a high gloss black. It is actually a bit thicker than the normal black from Rust-Oleum, so it does try to bleed underneath there. So I'm doing it kind of lightly, a little more light than I would normally have done it. Here, as you see, I go over it 1,000 times with it. So there, guys, we have it painted, and then the blue, which I realized I should have done before I did the other wing and whatnot. But you get a little spray over here, so just go back over those little areas of the wing, get that blue off of there. And I thought the blue itself, and I think I actually forgot to do the other wing. There we go. And the blue itself in the window, I thought would look kind of cool, like it's this background of space kind of reflecting off of it, and just give it that more of a kind of glass windshield type of feel to it. Oh, okay, one other step here is I put these lines in it. Just a little detail thing. I just use a little clear gloss to keep it wet, and then put these little lines in it, kind of make it look like a kind of like they did on the movie Wise. They always had some kind of texture to the wings, and I just wanted to give the wings some texture. So we'll speed that along and get that done for you guys, so you can see that. We can pull the stencil off and see just what our how far we've come with it. So we'll finish up the lines. Alright, so now it's time to take these off. Boom! Just like magic, guys. Alright, so we'll peel this off carefully in case it did stick in any spot. there we go. Now this looks kind of white to you guys. I understand the lighting from where it's coming through the door on the left, and then my lamp over on the right up above. It's looks a little white. This is a silver kind of gray, but it does look a little white. No worries. It's gonna look cool. So another touch, you can leave it at this if you wanted. Just leave it here and call it good, which is really nice for a gift for somebody. But I do love to take a marker or a paint pen. You can always use a Sharpie if you want. Just keep in mind, a Sharpie, if you use a Sharpie and you use a clear coat finish over the Sharpie, you need to do a really light coat of clear coat. Just mist it on it, and then use another light coat of clear coat, mist it on it before you do a medium to heavy coat, or that Sharpie tends to kind of re-wet and just kind of run. I've had it happen so many times, guys, so believe me, it will and can run on you if it gets too wet. This here is just an acrylic paint pen. That doesn't seem to have a problem at all, putting a clear coat over it, so that's what I use. They're a little more expensive, but they pretty much work the same. You can always just use a Sharpie. Just be careful putting a clear coat over it, or just don't use a clear coat. So I'm just adding some random details, which is really just a couple of lines, little dots and things here, just to kind of make it look more like metal or something for him, for his room. I think it kind of adds to it. I really don't know where I'm putting a lot of these things. I got this little shooter here, and then we'll try to draw another little shooter here and not make it something 13-year-old boys can laugh at over there. We'll get rid of that because that didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So we'll just kind of have him. He's only got one shooter. He's only got one shooter because the other one got blasted off in a battle or something. I don't know. We're just gonna do one shooter on this one. So there, I was just tracing the lines and cleaning them up from some black lines. Just go down the edges of the gray sections there, and you see the it'll just kind of cleans it up. Just clean up any spot that looks like it needs to be cleaned up from where the black paint might have kind of tried to run underneath. And then once dry, I went over the windows again just to darken them up a little more, just to kind of bring out the windows a little more. And then that's it, guys. It's a fun project. I know I've talked a lot through this project. Hopefully you paid attention to it and seen it. Maybe you muted it and just wanted to follow it by eye. That's cool too, guys. I don't blame you.
This is actually a present for my son's birthday. He's away for the summer, so I have time to make it and then store it. So he doesn't actually see it until his birthday. Though he'll probably end up watching this video and he's gonna know. So we'll see. I'll probably post this video a little closer towards his birthday, so as to not spoil the surprise too much. And then just try to keep him from saying it, I guess. So a few things. One, if you did cut out the black sections for the TIE fighter, if you did end up making a TIE fighter, not just something else, congratulations, you actually just made a 2-layer stencil. It's really that easy, guys. Some of the things we used in the thing, yes, I did use spray paint. You don't have to use spray paint. You can use acrylic paint, brush paint. This is pretty cool. It is very flat. Now, how you would hang this on the wall, if you're going to use it for outside purposes, like yard art, then just attach like a stake pole to the back or some kind of bracketing that you can attach to a pole and take it off the pole easily, and then just put that out in your yard, or you can screw it to a tree or a pole or something like that. You can always put some hole in the top and hang it from the tree and just let it swing around. I mean, it is a TIE fighter, so it does fly. But if you're going to hang it on the wall, you can always just use a couple of staples and some string and just run it across the back like the old school paintings and pictures with the wire in the back. So you can always hang it with something like that. I, for one, though, I like to use, and I have it in another video on me putting it in there on the things like the Deadpool, Pikachu, the Vader Zim's Gur, and just most of my wood wall art stuff, I tend to put little blocks on the back of it, just little block pieces of wood or some kind of spacer on the back of it, and then make sure the piece that you're hanging it on is the same size so that sits off the wall evenly, and it sits off the wall, and I think it looks a little more cool, makes it look a little more 3D. So that there, guys, is how I would hang that up, but there's plenty of different ways you can figure out how to hang it up if that's how you want to do it. You can always just screw it right to the wall, just find a stud or something or whatever and just screw it right to the wall or to the door or something like that if that's how you want to go. But it's very easy, it's a lot of fun to make. I hope you guys want to try something like that at home. It is, again, fun to make. It is a little time consuming, but you know, definitely if you have a boring day and you're not sure what you want to make, something to make, and it makes great presents for somebody, gifts for your kids, and or yourself if you're just into wanting to make something for yourself you can't find at the store. They mean a lot more than some of this crap you can buy from the store that's from cheaply made, mass marketed, and it's just all the same exact thing. This way you can make it and it's going to be original to you, and it's going to be one of a kind, and you know, you're not going to be able to find something exactly like it in the store, so it means a lot more as a gift and to yourself as well. So thanks guys very much for watching. I do hope you enjoy it. It is still hot out here. Okay guys, so be sure to share this video and like this video as well. Give it a thumbs up. Leave a couple of comments on what you think about it as well. Any ideas of what you might want to make at home. If I like the idea, I might make one as well for you guys. And just remember to subscribe if you haven't already. You guys are amazing, and I hope you like the woods back there, guys. Woods, right? Yeah. I keep looking back, I can keep hearing something. I don't know, I think there's somebody back there or something or other. I think he's trying to steal my painting. He wouldn't dare. Or she. I don't know. Probably a squirrel. The squirrel's gonna steal the painting. It's a squirrel, man. Alright guys, so thanks very much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. And peace out guys.